What's up, everybody? I'm Jamie Gruber, and I am a results leader.
You're listening to ResultsLeader.fm. Being a thought leader is easy. Getting results is hard. This show is for the results leader who lives and dies by their results. Here is your host and Chief Results Leader, Jonathan Rivera.
Boom, boom, pow. You know what time it is. It's time for another ResultsLeader.fm. Welcome back. And I know you're not here for me. I'm not fooling myself. I know what you want. You want another interview. And today is a great one because it's a refreshing conversation with a real estate investor who thinks differently than most of the investors out there. His philosophy is give more, do more, be more, with an emphasis on giving. And today he gives us a great interview, great insight, and a really interesting book. So let's jump into the interview with Mr. Jamie Gruber. Jamie, welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
Great, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I am stoked to have a guy with a good mic with me. So thank you for that. And along with that good mic, I know you're going to have a lot of great insights. So let's jump into the first question I have for you today. What book or books have you given most as a gift?
So there's two. One, the first one, my favorite of all time still to this day is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Fantastic book. If you've read Think and Grow Rich, it's a little bit more foundational than that, in my opinion. And it's an oddly written book, but it's really good. The other one is a book called Tribe of Millionaires, which was written by the founders of a mastermind that I belong to and work with. I give that book away quite a bit, actually. So those are probably the two biggies.
All right. Everybody and their grandma has talked about Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. You went in another direction. How did you even find this book, or how did it find you, Outwitting the Devil?
Yeah, I was Googling Napoleon Hill. I was just kind of fascinated after I read Think and Grow Rich a few years ago. And it popped up as a book that was written in the 1920s or 30s, whenever he was around, but wasn't published till like 2013 because of controversy. And that right there sparked enough interest for me to say, well, what was the controversy? And when you read the book, it's written as if he's interviewing the devil. So it's him having a conversation in essence with himself, but with these thoughts as if the devil was the one speaking. And he questions the education system in that book. He questions organized religion in that book, which I could see where the controversy would be. Reading it today, it's like, what's the real controversy here? Like, I don't really get it, but you place yourself in the turn of the century, 20s and 30s. Yeah, I guess I could see where it'd be controversial, but it's just a really, really good way of outlining what he determines the sort of the devil's true evil is, which is forcing people to drift through life as opposed to realizing their full potential. So I thought it was a great message and a really, really interesting way of reading it.
Powerful. And I am going to add that to my reading list because I have heard about it, but I never, ever thought to read it. Now I got to read it, man. So
yeah, it's a favorite. It's amazing.
Let's talk about one of our favorite topics. And when I say our, I mean us as entrepreneurs, as risk takers. Let's talk about failure. And I'd like you to share a story of how an apparent failure set you up for later success.
So I'm a recent exit of W-2 guy, side hustle entrepreneur, gone full-time entrepreneur. A few years ago, I had moved from Boston to Michigan with my day job. I was an insurance executive, pretty high level, stock, bonus, all that stuff, like, pretty good gig. And upon moving, I really struggled to integrate with the role. I really struggled mostly with the relationship I had with my boss at the time. Expectations of what was needed were wildly different. Not even what was needed, but the timeline in which it could be accomplished, given the struggles of the organization that I had just taken over. People needed to be removed and replaced in roles. Processes needed to be updated. A lot had to happen, and it couldn't happen in 30 days. And that started the rub, if you will. That became really, really difficult for me because I had identified as somebody that would eventually get that role. That was my dream job. And when I accomplished it, I'll be honest, there was a little bit of like, okay, maybe this isn't, quite what I thought it was going to be, coupled with the pressure my boss was under and her placing that pressure down on me. It set up a lot of issues for both of us, but for me specifically, it really created a crisis, I would say, in me, a crisis of the ego, a crisis of my identity. And it was sort of a violent death, if you will, of who I thought I was to what I knew I would needed to become, which was somebody who can support themselves, can do things on their own, can be an entrepreneur. It started me on the path of investing in real estate. I went from 1 to 42 doors over the last couple of years. It got me involved in mastermind groups. I'd never heard of this stuff before. Like, you pay to be in a group, what is like Illuminati? Like, what the hell is this, right? So joined mastermind groups. I found one called GoBundance that I'm a part of, and have just learned to think and see and feel a different way. I learned to build businesses along that, were part and parcel with my real estate, or at least had some connection to my real estate. And those things set me on the path to eventually be able to leave my job. And even in the short time I've been gone, the opportunities presented have just been sort of mind blowing. So yeah, so that apparent failure where things were not going well, I considered kind of tail between my legs, moving back to Boston, taking a demotion at that point, that what felt like failure, not able to sleep, and all of that ripping away of my former identity from my future identity led to some great things in my life.
Man, that's an amazing picture you've painted there. And I don't often get the chance to speak to someone who was in the corporate environment so recently and thought that this mastermind thing was hocus pocus, because anybody I talk to, that any of my family that has a job, they're like, a master what? So how the heck did you learn about that? And then how did you dive into it?
It's funny, the investor class tends to be in the mindset space, meaning I started to invest in real estate and I went full in. Like I said, scaled quickly. We bought a couple apartment buildings, a couple duplexes. We went kind of fast, partnered up. And you just sort of start to have to learn about things. And when you start listening to, real estate investor focused podcasts and reading real estate investor focused books or whatever, there's an underlying theme to all of it. It's mindset first, right community second. And then you get the results that you're looking for, or at least you get down the path of the results you're looking for. And I learned quickly by listening to a podcast about a couple of different options. I joined one of them, and just the difference between the community I was in, my day-to-day, and the community that I joined was the difference between being around people who say to me often, hey, do you remember when? Versus being in a mastermind group or a group of people that are like-minded saying, hey, imagine when. So sort of looking back versus looking forward. So for me, it was just as I started investing and learning more about that, it was undeniable that mindset work and personal development were part and parcel with that. And my focus on that had always been more job specific, like leadership, building a culture, because I had a large organization that I led. And it became more, who are you? What do you want to accomplish? And how do you become the person that accomplishes those things? And the mastermind groups have been, especially GoBundance that I'm in, have just been transformational. Being around people that make what used to be abnormal seem normal, or used to seem extraordinary seem ordinary, it just fuels you. There's no way you can't catch on to that, and you can't, sort of learn from and emulate and be part of a group of guys that I'm, like I am in GoBundance, and not catch their fire and catch their wave and drive forward. So,
man, that is one of the best pitches I ever heard for masterminds. And I'm with you, brother. If I only realized that way, way long ago, I'd be way further along. And there's this thing, I don't know where I heard it, but it's something that you're reminding me of right now, is you have to stop being and start becoming. And that's what it sounded like you described a mastermind is. Your way of being is left behind, and you become someone new, and you have all the people around you showing you it's possible. That is a beautiful, beautiful picture. So I think this is right in line with that. And what I'd like to know is, Jamie, what would you say is the most worthwhile investment you have ever made?
Not to be too redundant here, but in me, I guess is the best way to put it. I would have said, even a couple of years ago, as I've been down this venture, and to your point, I'm in my early 40s now. Man, I wish I had learned this when I was, 16, 18, 20, 25, but I didn't. My mid 30s was the time that I was called to sort of figure all this stuff out. And yeah, I get asked that question a lot, like, why do you put money into, a course, a mastermind, a retreat on a weekend? And the answer is that I see more of an ROI from every dollar that I spend on me. And this could even be as simple as my wife and I, every quarter, we do a solo weekend. So I'll get a hotel within a mile of my house if I need to. And just, it's my time, no kids, no wife. And then she gets the next or the following weekend for her, no husband, no kids. And even that time, just quiet time to reflect, the money spent on that, right? The hotel or whatever else I might do. Sometimes we go away for that. Anytime I've invested money in me, it's paid off exponentially more than the 16 unit apartment building that we own or the 22 unit apartment building or whatever, right? Like it always is investing in me. So, I have to be mindful of not overspending, I guess you could say, and doing too many different things because that's dangerous as well. You get yourself a little scattered. But yeah, investing in myself has always paid me the biggest dividend.
Yeah, man. That is a lesson that we can all learn from. And let's think back over the last 5 years. What new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
I always thought visualization and vision boards and writing goals down was, sort of woo woo, voodoo, odd stuff, weird. It's just like, who does that? But I wrote down, for instance, I want to exit I started a vision board. I want to exit my job by April of 2021. And I did last month in March of 2021. So it was like actually my last day ended up being officially the 1st of April, 2021. I didn't remember that until I was going through my closet and pulled out that old vision board, and it showed a picture of a person with their hands up. It said financial freedom, and the date was on there, April 2021. Crazy, right? I've written down in front of me here, I want to gross $1 million in 2022. That's in front of me every day. I get to look at it. So the power of writing your goals down and then visualizing those goals and visualizing what what those do for you, or what you achieving those on a day-to-day basis. I've learned so much, and it's so true that your brain has zero ability to determine whether what you're thinking about is real or perceived, real or not, right? So when I truly emotionalize and visualize the goal that I've set out for myself, my body, my soul, my being, my whatever align with achieving that, because I've already convinced myself and I have the core belief that I've achieved that goal. Not that I will achieve it, but that I have achieved it. And things just seem to open up. If I can give you a quick example, I left my job and I wrote down, I want to make $100,000 outside this year, outside of real estate and outside of my day job. I want to make $100,000, which I had no idea how that was going to happen. In a month, I've made 60. So it's insane how when you put something out like that into the universe, you suddenly start to attract opportunities that create what you say you want. So visualization and writing your goals down are two things that have become a daily routine for me.
Powerful. And I think that is what separates the extraordinary people like yourself from average, ordinary chumps, is knowing what they want. You know what you want. You put it out there. And I believe it was, the first time I heard it was Earl Nightingale, what the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. And that's exactly what you're telling us here. Know what you want, visualize what you want, and your mind doesn't know whether you got it or not. It just goes right there. And so that's a powerful lesson there. So let's have a little bit of fun here.
Sure.
What are some bad recommendations you hear in your area of expertise?
I would say don't partner, avoid partnerships at all costs, I would say is one, or just, do your thing. Don't worry about bringing everybody else into it. People in my space, get worried about bringing in a real estate partner of some sort. And I see people in communities I'm part of that say, yeah, look, partners are a pain in the butt, this, that, and the other. I just think that's terrible advice. I've had partners, some partnerships haven't worked out. Most have, but even those that don't work out, it's just the cycle of business. It's the life cycle of business. That's whether you're in a W-2 and you're partnering up on a project and or in a business that you've started. So I think the idea of trying to go it alone essentially is the advice I've heard that I think is really, really dangerous. I mean, it doesn't mean it can't work, but to your point about sayings, alone we go faster, together we go further. I believe in that truly, that having people with complementary skill sets to you, the who to your, to whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Another great book, Who Not How. Having those who's in your life that you can partner with or work with or whatever, I think is essential.
He is talking about Dan Sullivan's Who Not How, one of my favorite books. Been in Strategic Coach 5 years. I am with you on that. All right, I know you were getting into that, and we were just about to get into my favorite part where we talk about results. But first, I want to ask you a question. Are you picking up what we're laying down on this show? Are you digging what we are sharing? If you are, why not make yourself a hero today and share this with somebody who can use it? Put this out on your social media channels. #ResultsLeaderFM. I'll be out there looking for you, and I'll make sure to boost it up too when I see you. now that we've got that out of the way, let's jump back into the interview. So now we're getting into what everybody's really here for. That was the appetizer. Now it's time for the main course. Jamie, why do results matter?
I just don't know what else you would use to benchmark and determine whether you're progressing toward or away from whatever it is you want, right? You have to have a stated goal. And look, whether you're leading a small business, a large organization, and a company, and I've done both, the mindset has to be the same. And I think the strategy is the same. And that is identify your highest leverage result, whatever that is. Here's my success measure, 1, 2, 3 different metrics. And check in on that and let that guide you on whether or not you're moving toward or away from what you intended to achieve within that goal. So I just don't know of another way of benchmarking and identifying progress.
Powerful. In the last 5 years, what new realization has helped you get better results in your business?
I would say leaning into your authentic self. Many, many years in my corporate career, it was a matter of sort of, modifying, playing to politicizing what you're doing so that you are pleasing somebody else. And you just lose a little bit of yourself. And I believe over a 20-year career that I had, that when I mentioned that I went through that violent separation of the ego, the former identity and the current identity, I think that was just years and years of me chunking away at who I truly was and what I truly thought and how I truly thought things should be. I modified my behavior. I modified my style to fit in the box of what somebody else was defining for me, what wasn't acceptable. Dance this way to get that job, that sort of thing. What led me to finally saying, I gotta go, wasn't the job, great company, great career. I'm blessed to have had it. It was simply the fact that I was moving in a direction through personal growth that I had done that we've talked about, moving in a direction toward truly finding my authentic self, even having breakdowns. I remember my 40th birthday, kind of having this meltdown to some extent, like in tears. I talked to my coach on that day, and it was really just, that was the point at which I had bottomed out in a good way, with purging myself of the inauthentic version of me and starting to build myself up back to where, who I was at 16, 17, with dreams and ambitions and not apologizing for who I was, right? So I think in the last 5 years, the process of finding my authentic self and leaning into that, whether it's content I create, communications I have, discussions, whether I drop an F-bomb with somebody, like all of it is just natural. It just is. I don't worry about, am I going to offend? Am I going to not say the right thing? Is this person going to be mad at me? I've learned that it's just as powerful to repel as it is to attract those that you want in your life. So authenticity, I think, is an underrated currency in any aspect, whether it's business, if you're in the influencer space or content creation space. And I think leaning into, and I still have to, it's not complete, but leaning into more of authentically what I think is the right thing for me, for my family, for me to be doing with my time and energy is probably the biggest thing in the last 5 years that has gotten me results.
Yeah, man. So what area of your business would you like better results?
So the business that I'm really passionate about, like the passive business, is the real estate. I let that build cash flow and wealth for me. But because I love the community, the mastermind, all of that, I've learned that I'm really good at building communities. And I've built an online course and a mastermind in partnership with GoBundance for those that haven't achieved a millionaire status, which is what GoBundance requires. So Emerge is a 12-week course that we have that is a goal setting course. And, like any course or any online sort of product, you've got certain tactics to try to attract customers, clientele. Facebook ads, Instagram ads. We've run those for the last 3 months. We always are going to test and figure out, and the cost per click, what we're actually attracting, the sales leads that we're getting through ad spend is just, it's underwhelming. So we're actually going to kind of kill it this month and regroup. So that's been probably the biggest thing that I didn't know much about. And after a few months of testing, and it's nothing to do with the people that are doing this work, they're actually hitting some key metrics on the low end, but sales conversion just isn't happening to the extent that I would have expected. So that's something that we've really struggled with.
Oh, brother, I've got, we'll talk about it off the air, but I've got somebody, if you're looking for recommendations, I got somebody I can introduce you to. Cool. So what results are you most proud of, Jamie?
Going back to this Emerge course that I mentioned, what I love, my authentic self, I love seeing other people succeed. And that's what Emerge and Ascend are built for. So with Emerge, there's a 12-week course. In the beginning of it, you set a specific goal that you're going to achieve in 12 weeks. And as people, we started this last November, so 6-8 months ago. And as people have sort of completed the course and they outline what they've achieved, man, for one guy to hit 162,000 in flipping revenue when he set a goal for 150, for another guy to lose 30 pounds, that's what the goal that he set for himself, for another guy to buy not the one rental property he said he would, but two within 12 weeks, his first two rental properties. Those stories, those results that they're getting from the guidance, the community, all of what we put together with Emerge and Ascend, that's literally why I left my job. It was just, that's where my passion is. That's what I want to see. This is what I want to be around constantly. It feeds my soul. And yeah, so those results are what I'm most proud of, their results.
And that's why we invited you to the show, because it's not about our results. It's about the results we get the people that we serve. That's really powerful. And with that, any parting thoughts as we're coming to the close here, Jamie?
I would say this, what I've learned in my journey, and I still learn to this day, is we are naturally inclined to want to get, to take. And I've done that. I know I've done that. I still do that to this day. Your monkey brain wants more money, more this, more that, or whatever. But time and time again, the lesson I've learned, especially in the last few years, is converting the mindset of what can I get from this interaction? What can I get from this discussion? What can I get from having lunch with so-and-so, to what can I give? What value can I provide? Has an exponential return. And when you consider yourself, we talked about masterminds, when you give in your regular life, people naturally want to return that value. Not that anybody expects it. I don't expect it. I just want to give. But the law of nature is that people want to naturally reciprocate and give back. If you surround yourself with people that are only capable of so much, then your return will only be so much. You get into a mastermind community where, people are playing at a high level. They have a high net worth. They have businesses. They have a lot of resource. They have a lot of things around them that they can provide, connections, whatever the case may be. And you go into a community like that with the mindset of giving, their ability to return and what they do return when they do is at just a level, it's like tsunami level, right? Versus small wave coming in. So I would say, knowing truly that the power of giving, doing it authentically, not like if I give, I'm going to get, but truly just like, I'm just going to give. Just know that things will come back to you. And when you plug yourself into the right communities with the right people that are at or above your level, that natural law of return on your giving, it's more than you can probably even, I still can't fully process how blessed I am to be around the kind of people that I am.
Man, and that was one of the things that really got my attention. I don't know if I saw it on your website or where. Give more, do more, be more. You put it in that order, and I've heard it in different orders before. And some people skip out on the give, and it's have more, do more, be more. But the give more is so powerful. And I'm glad that you gave us some of your time and your insight today. I know our listeners are going to want more from you. Where can they get more?
Yeah, I found one handle that works on everything and is at the Jamie Gruber. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at the Jamie Gruber, a YouTube channel coming soon.
Got it. And we will most certainly share links in the show notes so that people can easily find you. We've been talking to Jamie Gruber. Thank you for being here. And thank you, our dear listeners, for tuning in for another ResultsLeader.fm. That's a wrap. That is a wrap for another edition of ResultsLeader.fm. If you are out there getting results for your clients and you want to be featured on the show, go to ResultsLeader.fm now and apply to be on the show. And if you love what you're hearing, share the show, give us a rating and review, do anything to help us get the message out there. Thought leadership is easy, but results leadership is hard.
This is the podcastfactory.com.